Okay, welcome to Survive to Thrive, everybody. It's Thursday. Super glad to be here. Let's get started. We're going to be working from The One Thing by Gary Keller today, and I'm going to share a few different passages with you, but we're going to start on page 33, and I'm in the middle of the page. So if you're following along at home, page 33, middle of the page, there is more and more piled on that we believe simply must get done. Raise your hand if you resonate. There you go. Me too, by the way. Overbooked, overextended, and overcommitted. In the weeds overwhelmingly becomes our collective condition. Who am I speaking to? Raise your hand if I'm speaking to you. There you go, Charlene. That's when the battle for the right of way gets fierce and frantic. Lacking a clear formula for making decisions, hang on to that one because we're going to come back to that. We get reactive and fall back on familiar, comfortable ways to decide what to do. As a result, we haphazardly select approaches that undermine our success. The best decision gets traded for any decision. When everything feels urgent and important, everything seems equal. All right, so here's the one question. What's the one thing that I can do such that by doing it, everything else becomes easier or unnecessary? I might only have one match, but I can cause an explosion. Guess what that one match is? It's your first domino. It's the one thing that you can do every day such that by doing it, everything else becomes easier or unnecessary. So let's break down the numbers and take a look at what this would look like, okay? Let's say that I have a goal to close 24 sales in 2024. Now, 50% of my business, Hilda, do you have your phone handy in front of you? Can you be my calculator?
Yes.
Okay, cool. So I have 24, I'm going to sell 24 sets. I'm going to close 24 deals, and I want 60% of my business to be on the list side. 60%. I want the majority of my business to be on the list side for numerous reasons. And one of those reasons is because the best source of buyer leads is seller listings. If you take enough seller listings, you'll never have to spend money on buyer leads because the seller listings will generate all the buyer leads you need. Now, Hilda, first math question is 64 multiplied by 60% or multiplied by 0.60. What's the answer?
38.4.
No. 24. I said the wrong number.
Yes. Okay. It's 14.4.
Thank you. We're going to round it up. So that's 15 seller listings. That's seller listings closed, not taken. Now, the next math equation I want you to do for me, Hilda, is take 15 and divide it by 0.75. 20. So that's 20 seller listing appointments in order to close. Sorry, guys. I wish I could hit the rewind button right here, but just put it on the bloopers. All right, that's 20 listings taken in order to close 15. There we go. Take 20 and divide it by 0.75.
27.
Round it up to 28.
Oh, it was 26.6. So
round it down. 27 divided by 12.
2.25.
So we're going to round that one up to 3 per month. All right, so here's the answer to the question. What's the one thing that I can do such that by doing it, everything else becomes easier or unnecessary? The first answer to that question is go on 3 seller listing appointments every single month. Got that? Now, the next question becomes, what's the one thing that I can do such that by doing it will create 3 seller listing appointments every single month? All right, let's start with a math equation again. 15 face-to-face appointments. These are for sell by owner and expired or circle prospecting appointments. In other words, hey, Hilda, my name is John Dietz with Blank Real Estate Company. I notice you're selling your home by owner. And if I had an offer on your home today, would you want me to bring you the offer? Hilda says, yes. Awesome. Now I'm face to face. And that's one of my 15 appointments. And that's 15 appointments per month. Divide it by 4 for me, Hilda.
3.75. So 4.
We're going to make it 4. That's 4 per week. And let's round that up to 1 a day. All right, so now the answer to the question, what's the one thing I can do in order to, hold on, the perfectionist of me is coming out. 1 appointment every day. There we go. If I can spell day. You can't talk and write at the same time. Okay, so now the answer to the question, what's the one thing that I can do such that by doing it, everything else becomes easier and necessary, is schedule 1 face-to-face appointment with a potential seller every single day. All right, now what's the one thing that I can do such that by doing it, everything else becomes easier or unnecessary is how many people do I need to talk to in order to schedule an appointment? Let's say that I have a contact to appointment ratio of 5 to 1. So I have to talk to 5 people in order to schedule 1 appointment. These are for sell by owner and expired calls mostly, okay? Talk to 5 people in order to schedule 1 appointment. Now, how many people do I need to call in order to talk to 5? Let's say it's again, it's a 5 to 1 ratio. So I'm going to have to make 25 calls in order to talk to 5 people in order to schedule 1 appointment. So that becomes my one thing that I need to do such that by doing it, everything else becomes easier. Now, there's another step to this, and you're in lead generation. You book the appointment. So now you're in lead follow-up. And the one thing that I can do such that by doing it makes everything else easier and necessary is to make sure that I have a systematic plan for follow-up. In other words, I'm going to call Hilda once a week for 4 weeks. The first call is simply, Hilda, thank you for taking time out of your day to meet with me. And I wanted to ask, do you have any questions for me? The second call, week number 2, hey, Hilda, John Dietz, following up as promised, checking to see, is your home still available? Role play with me, Hilda.
Oh, yes, it is.
Okay, cool. Have you had any offers?
No, I haven't.
Okay. Are you getting a lot of activity?
No, I'm not getting any activity at all.
That's interesting. Now, usually this conversation doesn't happen until maybe the 4th, 5th, or 6th call, but it can happen on the first call. All right.
Mhm.
So, Hilda, why do you think that is? I mean, the market's hot, homes are selling. Why do you think you're not getting any activity?
I don't know that people really see the value in my home. I mean, I have the best home in the neighborhood. I've done a ton of upgrades, and I just think that people don't want to pay the price that I'm paying, that I'm valuing my home at. But my home is much better than everybody else's.
Yeah, there you go. That could be. I agree. Now, Hilda, can you tell me what a really good buyer looks like to you?
Well, I would like to get a full price offer.
Okay, so
A cash buyer would be great.
okay, a full price cash offer is a great buyer.
Yes.
All right, can I share with you what a great buyer looks like to me?
Sure.
A great buyer is somebody who sold their home. They need to buy a home to move into in the next 30 days. Or a great buyer is somebody who's in town for the weekend to buy a home.
Well, I'm not really in a hurry, so as long as I get the money that I want, I can wait a while. I'm not really in a hurry to sell.
No, I completely understand that. And if you knew that selling your home quicker would mean you would get more money for your home, would you be in a hurry then?
I guess if the
Yeah.
right buyer came along and you know, and they didn't ask for any closing cost and it was full price or more.
Okay, so you're not getting any showings. And if nobody's looking at your home, how is the right buyer going to come along?
Well, you've got a point there.
Okay. And we described what a really good buyer looks like, correct?
Right.
Okay. Now, if you were that buyer, you needed to buy a home in the next 30 days, or you're in town for the weekend. Are you working with a real estate professional like me, or are you driving around looking for sale by owners?
Well, I have somebody who is going to be listing it as a limited service for $300, and so I'm going to get more exposure that way. So I'll be getting some buyers that are bringing in their realtors.
Okay, so you have somebody that's going to put it on the MLS for you for sale by owner.
No, it's a limited service, so they're charging me $300 just to put it on the MLS
Yeah,
so that I get more exposure as a for sale by owner.
right. So there's no fee being paid to the agent who's putting it in the MLS, correct? Other than
Right,
the
right,
$300.
right.
And how much are you offering the buyer's agent in that listing?
2%.
Okay, cool. So you're a for sale by owner on the MLS.
Right.
Right. Now, statistically, if you went to NAR and you asked them, statistically, when there's one real estate agent involved in the transaction, how often or how successful do those deals close? The answer is 66% of the time. So you've got a 33% plus chance that the deal is going to fall apart before closing. And you're that realtor again. You have that buyer. That buyer's going to buy a home, and there's multiple homes to choose from. Now, you could show them a property where there's two real estate agents involved in the transaction. You have a better chance of closing, and you're only representing one of the parties. Or you could show them a property that's a flat fee for sale by owner listing, and you're the only real estate agent involved in the transaction. You have a 33% chance it's going to fail, and you get to do all of the work with both parties in the transaction. Which one are you more motivated to take your buyer to?
Good point.
Is it possible that putting your home on the MLS as a for sale by owner is going to get you the same result that you're getting now?
It's possible.
Now, you're doing this in order to save on the fee, correct?
Right. Because I
And the
need the net
fee,
as much as possible.
I totally get that, right? And you're offering 2% to the buyer's agent. Let's just say for the purpose of this conversation, it's 2% to the selling agent as well. Fair enough?
Sure.
Now, curious, what's your monthly holding costs? Mortgage, taxes, insurance? What's all that add up to?
About 3,500.
Okay, $3,500. Got it. And your asking price is, remind me, I'm not looking at the listing right now.
825.
825,000. So, Hilda, what's 2% of 825,000?
$16,500.
Okay, so the money you're trying to save is $16,500. Take 3,500 and multiply it by 5. Tell me what that comes out to.
17,500.
So in 5 months, you've lost the money you're trying to save. Yes, correct? Right or wrong?
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Got it. Now, if I could sell your home for 2% more than you could, and I could sell it in less time. Let's say I sell it in 30 days and it took you 6 months to sell your home. Are you losing money or gaining money by working with me?
Well, it depends, John, because my neighbor next door is listed at 710, and I feel like that's just if I lower, everybody wants me to lower my price, and I'm just going to give my house away. My house is way better than my next door neighbors.
So, guys,
So I'd be losing money if I, you know, if I went with a realtor who wants to sell it for what they think the price should be listed at.
No, we're basing this. So everybody, we're off script for a moment. This is white noise. Okay. Most of the
The
time.
reason I'm telling you all this is because I'm actually in this very scenario right now with a fixed
I
home.
figured you were, okay, but at the same time, I don't have to address every objection that comes up. Remember that, guys. So let's do a pattern interrupt here. I'm going to erase all of this. By the way, the reason I'm writing this up here is so you guys can see it. It's also, if I'm having this conversation, I have a legal pad in front of me and I'm writing all of this down, right? If I'm sitting at Hilda's kitchen table, I'm taking notes and I'm showing her all these diagrams, right? So Hilda, remind me what the asking price is.
$825.
Got it. Okay, and you're just gonna put it in the MLS as a flat fee for sale by owner because you want to save 2%. Is that correct?
Right.
Okay. So my question to you is, if I could sell your home for 2% more than you could, and I sell it in less time, are you losing money or gaining money by working with a professional like me?
Gaining money.
There you go. Now, if I could show you how I could do that, if I could show you how I could sell your home for more money in less time, would you want to meet with me?
Of course.
So I've got tomorrow at 4. Would 3 o'clock be better for you? Got the commitment, right? Okay, good.
Yeah.
Boy, that was a good role play partner. Now, let's go back to the one thing conversation, everybody. Okay, just checking time. So this is lead generation. I called Hilda, I got an appointment, and now Hilda is in follow-up. I'm going to call the next day. I'm going to call week 2, week 3, and week 4. And this conversation happened on week 2, which is fine. All right. Now, what typically happens is for sell by owners and expireds, especially, you've got this space over here, which is when they become serious about selling their home. And it may take a month of follow-up. It may take 2 months of follow-up. It might take 6. All right. The longest it ever took me with one seller was 3 years and 89 calls. Now, what happens is you're making these calls and you're hearing no, 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 go away. Don't ever call me again. I'm not going to list with you. I have a friend, I have a neighbor, I have a dog with a real estate license. All of those things that you're hearing, and it's noise. You're ignoring it. And you get to this space over here where they become serious about selling their home. And now you call them and it's like, gee whiz, I'm glad you called. We were just talking about putting the house on the market. And what happened is we created emotional proximity because we systematically followed up without exception, which means no is not a word that lives in my vocabulary. No simply means not yet. People will never change their mind, but they will make a new decision based on new information. Did Hilda make a new decision based on new information? The answer is yes. All right. So now what's the one thing that I can do such that by doing it, everything else becomes easier, unnecessary, is master follow-up. Success is in the follow-up. Now, what happens when you do this? I'm going to go to page 14. 13. Gary Keller's one thing. All right, in 1983, Warren Whitehead wrote in the American Journal of Physics that he discovered that domino falls could not only topple many things, they could also topple bigger things. He described how a single domino is capable of bringing down another domino that is actually 50% larger. In 2001, a physicist from San Francisco's blah, 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 experimented by creating 8 dominoes out of plywood, each of which was 50% larger than the one before. The first was a mere 2 inches. The last was 3 feet tall. It's called a geometric progression. The idea is by focusing on that one domino every single day, what's the one thing that I can do such that by doing it, everything else becomes easier. By the time I get to the 18th domino, I'm at the Leaning Tower of Pisa. By the time I get to number 23, I'm at the Eiffel Tower. 31 is Mount Everest. And I wrote over it, so I can't see, but eventually you're at the moon. What's the one thing that I can do by doing it? So everything else becomes easier or unnecessary. All right, talk to me, guys. What are you hearing?
Systematic follow-up, John.
Thank you. Systematic follow-up without judgment. Systematic follow-up without being attached to the outcome. Systematic follow-up ignoring the noise. Systematic follow-up rejecting rejection. No is not a word that lives in my vocabulary. No simply means not yet. People don't say no because they don't want to work with you. They say no because they don't know enough. People will never change their mind, but they will make a new decision based on new information.
NATO.
Say-
Not attached. NATO. Not attached to the outcome.
You know, so powerful. Joanne, it so is. It is so, so powerful. I'm going to stop recording because I don't want this to be on the recording.